Right now on the National Weather Desk, Carolina fires. Firefighters work to gain control as wind and drought help fan the flames.
It's sad that we've seen some loss of some structures, but thank goodness no loss of life, no injuries, anything like that.
On this election day, we'll take a look at the connection between the weather and turnout.
There's about a 1% decrease in voter turnout for every 1 inch of rain above average.
Solar energy, it's hot. Could it be right for you?
It really depends on your budget and your payments.
We'll take a look at how the weather in the Sierras doomed the ill-fated Donna party.
And we're talking feet and feet of snow.
And why Saturn's rings will soon vanish from view, at least here on Earth.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Large portions of the east and southeast will see a warm fall spell today as temperatures soar 10 to 15 degrees above normal. Record highs are possible for the southwest to the southeast today, with the heat pushing north on Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, the Mid-Atlantic region can see temperatures reaching as high as 20 degrees above normal, with the Washington, D.C. area forecast to reach nearly 80 degrees before things return to normal into the weekend. At the same time, a strong storm system is moving along the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. Monday, the region was hit by intense thunderstorms that packed heavy rain and also hail. The storm swept across Michigan with 50-mile-per-hour winds, setting off severe thunderstorm warnings. As the storm moves into the Northeast, it will bring mostly rain, but there's also the chance for some ice to form that really could make driving dicey. There are at least 4 wildfires burning in western North Carolina this morning. 2 are 50% contained, but the other 2 are still out of control. That includes the popular drive south of Asheville, which has been burning for about 5 days now. Taylor Thompson has details.
Local and state firefighters are continuing to work to contain the large wildfire that began burning in the Edneyville community on Friday.
We got close to 200 folks out there on the front lines fighting the fire today.
Morgan says it's been a joint effort from local departments and the NC Forest Service.
We've all worked together. The fire departments are fighting the fire and containing the fire around the properties, and the structures. And then we've got the fire service working on the actual fire.
The county declared a state of emergency on Sunday, as well as a ban on all open burning. As of Monday afternoon, there's been 2 homes destroyed, 1 home damaged, 1 building destroyed, and an empty cabin destroyed.
It's sad that we've seen some loss of some structures, but thank goodness no loss of life, no injuries, anything like that. So you can rebuild a house, but you can't rebuild a life.
While the official response from the state is that the cause of the fire remains under investigation, Chief Griffin says that local departments were given an idea when they initially arrived on scene Friday.
What we were told by the homeowners is they were doing some burning the week prior. It's dry. The embers have popped back up and started to fire from that. That's what we are going off of on an assumption. We haven't taken time to do the investigation, more so until the incident is over.
While Chief Griffin says the fire is almost 100% confined, there's a difference between confined and contained.
Containment is how confident do we feel if we walk away that the fire will not get out and get any larger if there is no presence at all.
Although the weather has shown improvement, and Chief Griffin says they're not expecting stronger winds overnight, they are concerned about the direction changing.
So that has the potential for some fuel that's inside the line that hasn't been burnt to maybe be exposed.
Well, it's election day and voters across the country are making their way to the polls. We don't dabble in politics here. Our game obviously is the weather. So how does the weather influence voter turnout? Meteorologist Ryan Miranda looked into it.
With it being election day, I did some research to see how weather impacts voter turnout. I turned to this paper from Florida State University, and they showed some pretty interesting facts about how the weather could be impacting voter turnout. They generally said that, according to their models, there's about a 1% decrease in voter turnout for every 1 inch of rain above average. For snow, it's a little bit less for every 1 inch of snow above the average. But it gets pretty interesting when you actually break this apart between the different parties, between Democrats and Republicans. And their models showed that generally Republicans are more favored in voter turnout when there is more rain and snow events. But this was for very deep red counties. They said that it's not very impactful in counties with more even numbers. So did this actually impact any elections? Well, not really. Their study shows that there wasn't going to be any different occupants in the White House from these rain or snow events, although there could have been a few electoral college votes for Republicans under max rain or snow events. The biggest swing could have came in 2000 with just who won more quickly.
And it's getting cooler outside and winter is knocking on the door. And that means a different set of weather terms. Meteorologist Matt Gunn has a refresher whether you are a winter warrior, new to snowy areas, or just curious.
Winter does not start officially until December 21st, but it's never too early to refresh yourself on some winter terms. As we see each year, snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain can cause some treacherous travel in the coming months. The tricky travel conditions typically are the determining factor on if businesses or schools close. Growing up, you probably thought that all winter storms were blizzards. However, that is not the case. For a storm to be considered a blizzard, it must have at least 35-mile-per-hour winds, a quarter of a mile visibility, and these conditions must last for 3 hours. Winter storm watch, winter weather advisory, winter storm warning, and potentially ice storm warning will be other terms you'll hear soon. A watch means conditions are favorable for winter precipitation to impact people's commute. An advisory means conditions are expected and you are advised to travel with caution. A warning means conditions are expected and people are advised to limit travel if possible.
We want everybody obviously to be weather aware, so make sure that you're checking your local forecasts as well as the forecasts of the areas you may be traveling to, so you're prepared for those ever-changing weather changes and just plan accordingly for those weather changes when they occur during your travel times.
I'm meteorologist Matt Gunn reporting.
And right now, transportation departments across the country are getting ready for winter. Seattle's DOT is doing test runs. Drivers are running snowplows to make sure the equipment is good to go and also to get familiar with the routes and also winter weather plans. SDOT says these practice runs are important to keep the city running after winter storms. Solar panels are supposed to reduce your electric bill and save you some cash as well, but that may not happen for everyone. Before you commit, though, there are some things that you should really consider. Tamara Zakarzik has more.
Toby Stanger of Consumer Reports says solar systems can cut down on your electric bill, but it really depends on your budget and your payments.
You have to figure out what the break-even point is for purchasing solar because it's expensive. On average, it's more than $20,000.
Homeowners may qualify for a federal tax credit that drops the price by up to 30%, but that's not a guarantee.
What it doesn't do is it doesn't help people who don't owe money to this federal government typically, or they don't owe a lot to the federal government. Then you're really not going to get most of the benefits of that tax credit. One way to find out really what your savings is going to be is to go to a website like Energy Sage or Solar Reviews, and they have calculators.
Those calculators use your electric bill and views of your roof from Google Earth to estimate how big of a system your home can handle and how much you could save over 20 years. But when we tried it out, we found estimates can vary, so it's not foolproof. Another factor to consider, the cost of removing and reinstalling those panels.
And regardless, you will eventually have to replace your roof after the panels go on, right? Because roofs don't last forever.
Yeah, a typical roof warranty is 25 years, say. And the solar panel warranties are typically about 20 years. So it depends where they overlap.
Finding out whether solar panels are worth it comes down to doing your own independent research.
You have to look at your annual budget and decide if it will work for you.
Saturn's iconic rings will disappear from Earth's view in less than 2 years. That's because the planet's tilt will align in a way that makes the rings an almost invisible line from our perspective, at least. It happens every 13 to 15 years or so. The last time actually was in 2009. And a new theory has emerged relating to the Earth's creation. Scientists agree that an ancient planet likely smashed into the Earth as it was forming, but they have always wondered what actually happened to this ancient planet that they call Theia after that collision. The new theory suggests molten slabs of Theia, that planet, could be embedded themselves within the Earth's mantle. And coming up, From the National Weather Desk, we'll head to Michigan to find out why hundreds of dead birds are washing up on the shores of the Great Lakes. And we'll find out what you need to do now so you're prepared for the winter months ahead.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. A mild day is on tap in the Northeast. Today we'll get a narrow wedge of warm temperatures on a stiff southwest wind. There's the warm front that punched through last night. We'll get developing sun today. You might get a brief shower with that passing cold front later on this afternoon and early evening. Cooler air invades tonight. That will be with us on Wednesday. Will be a solid 20 degrees cooler on Wednesday, and the wind will be active as well. Heading into Thursday, our next weak weather maker brings rain and portions of northern New England. We'll see a wintry mix.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Starting off with a mild morning, and as we head into the afternoon, look at all these 70s around, all up and down the 95 corridor. That's in advance of our next weather maker, which is a cold front that may give us some cooler weather for some of us, at least, as we head into the middle of the week, followed by some warmer temperatures again as we head into Thursday. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs. As we go through the day, we're seeing temperatures a little bit above normal for this time of year. About 80 degrees in Atlanta, Raleigh, 80 degrees, Charleston, 80, 79 Mobile, 85 Tampa, 84 West Palm. High pressure pretty much dominant across parts of the southeast, keeping us mostly dry and clear as we go through the day today. Plenty of sunshine, and the same applies down towards Florida. Raleigh looking nice and clear, back towards Memphis as well.
Desk.
The Wisconsin gun deer hunting season is still 11 days away, but people there are already getting ready. Although officials say this year could see more deer than ever before, they caution that weather could actually have an impact on all this. Eric Peterson has more.
Working with recent archery harvest totals as a guide, DNR State Deer Program Specialist Jeff Pritzel says the 2023 gun hunt could be a little slower than last season.
Comparing this year to last year isn't exactly apples to apples. And if we don't get that snow cover this year that we had last year, I would expect the harvest numbers won't quite match last year just because the conditions were ideal last year.
Pritzel says last year's total deer harvest numbers were up 14.4% from the season before. He says weather conditions typically play a big role. And when it comes to crop cover, recent precipitation likely had an impact.
At the end of October, corn harvest was running just a couple days behind schedule. Not a surprise with the wet weather and the snow that eastern Wisconsin got in right at the end of the month probably slowed things down a little bit as well.
Hunters are asked to play it safe. Lieutenant Mike Weber says people using tree stands need to check their gear before opening morning. And that's not all.
When you're going up in a tree stand and climbing up and down, always make sure to use 3 points of contact at all times, and then use a tether line to lower or raise and lower your unloaded firearm at all times, because you definitely don't want to be holding onto that while climbing up and down the tree.
Well, there are hundreds of dead birds washing on shore along Lake Michigan. Meteorologist Heather Bricka looks into what is killing them.
It's a quiet, chilly day on the beach at Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore. But this past weekend, some people saw dead birds washing on shore.
So it was a little bit of a surprise to see so many so quickly.
More than 400 bird carcasses appeared on the park's beaches, and they're calling it a large outbreak.
Now over 400 just since Saturday, just in the lakeshore, which is a relatively high number for us and is our biggest outbreak in at least 7 years.
Sleeping Bear Dunes wildlife biologist Cavalieri says the cause is likely due to avian botulism.
We think that's because it's been exacerbated by basically a suite of invasive species. So zebra and quagga mussels went into the lake. They've actually, by filtering out things in the lake, have made it clearer, which sounds like a good thing, but it allows sunlight to penetrate deeper into the lake. And that allows for the growth of this Cladophora algae on the lake bottom in certain locations.
When the algae dies, there's not much oxygen left in the lake. Bacteria starts to grow and then it produces a toxin.
Then basically cascades up the food chain from invertebrates to fish, including the invasive round goby, which then these fish-eating birds eat. And so the toxin comes up into the birds and it can actually kill them.
Cavalieri says avian botulism is heavily impacting the long-tailed duck and a few common loons.
We haven't had a really big outbreak since about 2016, but this is actually now vying with that as perhaps a big or maybe even bigger outbreak than that was.
The park is sending bird carcasses to the U.S. Geological Survey to confirm that this is an avian botulism outbreak.
And it was right about this time of the year in 1846 when the now infamous Donna Reed party got trapped in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Emily Gracie spoke to Matt Monroe from our Reno station about the weather conditions in that part of the country during early November to get a better idea of what this group experienced on that ill-fated journey.
They started off in Illinois. They wanted the dream of settling in the Oregon Territory, which is, of course, California. So they had to go all the way from Illinois, cross the Rocky Mountains, cross the Sierra Nevada, and get into California before the winter snows hit. And a normal trip like that took 4 to 6 months and about 15 miles a day. So they were kind of crawling across America in sometimes uncharted and very hostile territory as well. So there's a lot of danger involved in the trip too.
So you're in Reno. You're kind of an expert as far as the weather locally there. They made it as far as your area late October. So right about this time of year.
Yeah.
What went wrong? What happened at that point?
They decided to take a route called the Hastings Cutoff, which was supposed to cut off time. Instead, it added 18 days to their journey. It was very hard crossing the desert there of Utah. They got to the border of Utah and Nevada, and they rested for 5 days. They were exhausted, and they gambled a little bit that the snow wouldn't happen until mid-November, and they'd be up and over the pass. And they got so close, within about 3 miles of the summit, and then the huge snow started to come down. And we're talking feet and feet of snow.
That's when things got really dark, right?
That's when, of course, they're running out of food and, reports of cannibalism. They were boiling their shoes, eating straps of leather from the oxen. Of course, they ate the oxen too. They ate everything they could.
Some of them did make it out to tell the tale. There were some survivors that made it to the destination.
And again, the rescue party did come, and they were eating everything they could just to kind of buy time. Think of the Donner Party with oxen and women and children and men and covered wagons on rocky dirt trails, no plows, no nothing, running out of food in the elements. It's just crazy to think that even, 45 people survived that. That's really the amazing part, that 45 people actually survived that.
To hear more about the story of the Donner Party, check out this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar. You'll hear about what went wrong and the numerous factors surrounding the Donners and also cannibalism. Find Off the Radar anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Winter is just around the corner. Now is a good time to share some tips on getting ready for the winter weather. Ahead, here's meteorologist Christina Ernie.
Did you know that out of all weather events, cold weather is one of the leading causes of death? So how do we stay prepared for cold weather when it approaches and when it hits? Whether you plan on driving or traveling during a storm or not, make sure that your car is fully gassed up and that you have a survival kit inside, including blankets, a flashlight, tons of extra layers, and an ice scraper, a shovel, and kitty litter for traction. If you have a home, my biggest tip for you is maintenance. Make sure that you're getting your chimney or flue checked and cleaned every year. Also, when it comes to generators, make sure that they're at quite a distance away from your house. And finally, make sure that all of your pipes are well insulated so you don't have to worry about those freezing. All of that stuff is really important, but what about the people inside of your house? Make sure that any important medicines for you or even your pets are in a to-go bag, just in case you have to evacuate, and make sure all of your devices are charged up as well. Make sure that you have a stock of food that is non-perishable, and make sure even if you go outside for a few minutes, you dress warmer than you think you need to.
And before we head to break, let's take in some fall foliage at Lake Arrowhead in Stafford, Virginia.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. A few showers across the far north here. A little bit of a rain-snow mix depending on where you are and the time of the day. The rest of the Midwest, though, looking pretty good. A lot of 60s and even some 70s on the map to the far south. So it is warmer across the southern part of the Midwest. Tomorrow, some of those showers are slowly sweeping their way closer towards the Great Lakes. And then by Thursday, it starts exiting to the east. However, a little bit of snow there across the far north. Most of the Midwest dry Thursday.
Good Tuesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Succi. Look at our forecast today across the region. Starting off with a nice morning, mild and humid near the Gulf with some patchy clouds. We head through the afternoon, a lot of sunshine. Little Rock, Dallas, a hot 89 in Abilene. A little bit more cloud cover mixed with the sun near the Gulf Coast. And then here's Wednesday, mild in the morning, may get some patches of fog. Otherwise, lots of sunshine with a rain chance out near Big Bend National Park late day Wednesday.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Tuesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Been some wild November weather out west, but we're quieting down today in Seattle and Portland after some morning showers. We'll send those into eastern Washington towards Spokane and Boise. Meanwhile, 88 out of Phoenix. It's that time of year where the desert Southwest becomes the envy of the rest of the country when things turn cold and stormy. Salt Lake City seeing some snow high up in the Wasatch near Park City later today, too. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, Seattle's known for rain, but it's November and that rain has not yet, of course, turned into snow, and that has some ski enthusiasts wondering what this all means for the slopes in the Pacific Northwest. The ski season there in Zon takes a look.
This is the time of year we start getting questions from skiers and snowboarders about the ski season ahead and the current conditions. As you can see, we're getting some moisture in the west, but the snow level still much too high in the Cascades and the Sierra Nevadas to get any of those ski areas open. But we do have snow falling in the Rockies at lower levels. That means our first ski runs in the Colorado Rockies are opening as we speak, but the Cascades still waiting for snow, and of course the California slopes not open yet. Now, being we're expecting an El Nino winter, that means a couple things. The Cascades could get less snow than they typically do for skiers and snowboarders, while California could get more storms, meaning a heavier snowpack. So we'll see how this season plays out.
We'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Just look at your screen right here, search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at what's contributing to the declining bird population in the U.S. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Tuesday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.